Welcome to the Alan Berry Reports TV show. I'm Alan Berry Labucan. I'm the editor of the Alan Berry Reports and the host of this show. Thank you very much for joining us today. I have a couple topics that I'm going to talk about, and I'll start with recently we did our first show was actually a welcome where we talked about some of the key issues that we cover in our reports and sort of how to find the work that we do. And I wanted to go back a little bit on that. One of the nice things about doing this video show, I've had the opportunity on several occasions to do TV interviews, and usually they're only about 4 or 5 minutes. And one of the things that every time I do one, I always think back after I've done them and I say, wow, I wish I would have said that, or I wish I would have said this. Now that we have our own TV show, I can go back and go over some of the stuff that I would like to cover. And one of the things that I wanted to cover was just how important commodities are in our everyday life. You know, if you start in your morning and you sort of do an inventory of all the various different products that you use that either are made from commodities or need commodities to make them work, it becomes quite an extensive list. I don't think people really you don't really think about that often. You don't think about, well, how does my stove work, or how does my fridge work, or how does my computer work, or what goes into making it, or how does the power that gets to it, how does it get there? We don't really think about this, but behind all of that is commodities. And so you know, this is one critically important reason to follow commodities. Now, really in economics, everything revolves around commodities. I'll just give you one example. There's, you know, a litany of examples for practically every product that I just sort of delved into a little bit there. But take, for example, the airline business. How, when oil prices move up or down, it can affect their bottom line quite significantly. It increases their costs or decreases their cost, and when you do that, you can you know, change your pricing so that you can make your better deals to attract more travelers and flyers. And so you know, there's a perfect example of how important commodities are to that industry. But there isn't an industry that isn't affected by commodities. Every industry, no matter what products you're making, they all are affected by commodities. And so therefore that's why I look at commodities and I say everything in economics really revolves off of what happens with commodities. And so if you really want to get an idea of what's happening economically throughout the world, there's certain commodities that are exceptionally good at giving you sort of an indication of what's going on with the global economy. Take, for example, copper. In order for all these products that I talk about that we all use every day, you need power to make those things run, and you need copper to get that to whatever device you want to run. And so whenever an economy is growing, they use a great deal of copper. And so that's why some people say that copper has a PhD in economics, meaning it has an advanced degree in economics because it's very good. Some call it Dr. Copper. It's very good at sort of giving you an idea of what's happening in the economy globally and domestically as well. And so keeping an eye on what's happening with Dr. Copper is very important when you're trying to assess what's going on with the global economy. And it's not as totally simple as just watching what's happening with demand, because you also have to have an idea of what's happening with supply. If there was strong demand and much stronger supply, well, then the price would go down, but that doesn't mean that the global economy is not growing. You could still see that in the demand. So sort of assessing what's going on with the global economy when looking at it through the view of what's happening with commodities, it's sort of, you have to keep these things into consideration. But that's what we do in our reports, and we've been doing this for a lot of years, and that's what we talk about. So we'll be going into those further in our future reports. The second thing I wanted to talk about today was lately, for probably the last 6 months or so, I've been noticing a trend when it comes to resource stocks. These are the companies that go out there and explore for commodities, or hold a minute. They explore for commodities. They develop new production for those commodities, or they are the producers of those commodities currently. And one thing I've been noticing a lot lately in the last 6 months or so is I've been noticing relative strength in the resource stocks that we follow in our report. Now, there's hundreds and hundreds of other companies that are in the business, the industry that we follow, and in our reports we follow about 50 companies. So that's when I'm talking about relative strength, I'm talking about the relative strength in the resource stocks that we follow in our report. And we've been writing the reports for the last 5 years now. And during that time, for most of that time actually, as the commodity bull market was moving up over multiple years, almost a decade now, resource stocks were not as strong. What I mean by that is, yes, they would move up as the prices were moving up, but it was like the up moves were sort of reluctant. That now, on days when the commodities prices went down, they gave back those up moves very quickly. So it was sort of a reluctant upwards move and a quick down move it was a reluctant upward move on up days when prices were going up, but on down days it was pretty quick. I've been sort of seeing that trend flip, and now on down days for commodity prices, the resource stocks are not giving up their gains quite as quickly. And on the days when the resource stocks the commodities are going up, the resource stocks go up a little more easily. This is very encouraging, and you know, I've been looking for this to happen as a sign that, you know, there is starting to be more relative strength when it comes to resource stocks. I've been talking a lot about making that kind of prediction in the reports, and it's really encouraging to see it starting to come to pass. And I think that this is a trend that once sometimes these trends start, they can last for a long time, and I think that this is a long-term trend. As I mentioned, when I'm talking about resource stocks, I'm talking about the group that we follow in our reports. You can find that roster, our current roster, one of two ways. If you're a subscriber to our report, you would have recently, a couple weeks ago, received our Outlook 2010. If you're not a subscriber, you can find that Outlook 2010 on our blog. If you go to the blog, there's a tab at the top, and it says Outlook 2010. That one you'll find the roster towards the bottom. And to get to our to subscribe or to our blog, you just can go through our website. But before closing, I'd like to stress this show and our reports are for information purposes only. We aren't making buying or selling recommendations, and it's important for you to do your own research and speak with your financial advisors. We're always trying to grow the audience, and if you'd like to help us out, if you look below the screen there, you're going to notice that there's some buttons, and they're called share, and you can send the video out by email or Facebook or Twitter, and that would help us grow our audience. We really appreciate you taking the time to watch this show. We are well aware that everybody is busy, and we strive to produce a show that saves you time and gives you helpful, high-quality information. As always, we hope you come back for future shows. Have a great day.